Okay, so tonight we're going to continue on with the Daf Yomi and Sanhedrin. We're in Daf 49. I'm going to have to swap books because it's actually in the middle of, it ends volume 29 and it jumps into 23 for the Koran Talmud Bavli. So here we go. Be the one who is cursed and not the one who curses, as a curse eventually returns to the one who curses. Okay, the Gemara returns to discuss the incident of Joab. They brought Joab before Solomon, who judged him. Solomon said to Joab, "What is the reason that you killed Abner?" Joab said to him, "I was the blood redeemer of the blood of Asahel." When Abner murdered my brother Asahel, I killed him in fulfillment of my duty as his blood redeemer. Solomon said to him, but Asahel was pursuing Abner with the intention of killing him, and therefore he had the status of a pursuer. Since Abner killed Asahel in an act of self-defense, you had no right to kill him as a redeemer of Asahel's blood. Joab said to Solomon, Abner could have saved himself by wounding Asahel in one of his limbs. Having failed to do so, he was guilty of murder, and I was therefore entitled to kill him. Solomon said to him, Abner was not able to injure Asahel because he was running and could not aim with precision. Joab said to Solomon, now Abner was able to aim and hit him precisely in the fifth rim, as it is written, and Abner smote him with the butt end of the spear in the Chomesh. That's 2 Samuel 2:23. And Rabbi Yochanan says that this means that he hit him in the fifth rib, the place where the gallbladder and the liver hang. If Abner could aim with precision at the fifth rib, could he not have successfully aimed at one of Asahel's limbs? Solomon said to Joab, set aside Abner, as you have presented a convincing argument that you are not liable for his death. But what is the reason that you killed Amasa? Abner said to him, I killed Amasa in punishment for his having rebelled against the king, as it is written, and the king said to Amasa, muster to me the men of Yehuda within 3 days, and be you here present. And Amasa went to call the men of Yehuda, but he was later than the set time that he had assigned to him. 2 Samuel 20, verses 4 and 5. Solomon said to him, Amasa was not guilty of rebelling against the king because he interpreted the words ach and rak in a restrictive manner, and in that way he limited the king's authority. How so? Amasa found the men of Judah starting to study a new tractate. He said to himself, what is written? Any man who rebels against your commandment and will not listen to your words in all that you command him, he shall be put to death. Joshua 1:18. Indicating that the king of Israel has unlimited power. Based on these words alone, one might have thought that the king must be obeyed even when that would lead to abstention from the study of the words of Torah. Therefore, that same verse states only, so rak, be strong and of good courage. The word rak is a restrictive term that serves no limit to the king's authority in a situation where obeying his command will minimize the study of Torah. Consequently, Amasa was justified when he did not muster the men of Judah at the appointed time, and you had no right to kill him. Solomon continued, rather the opposite is true. That man, you, Joab, rebelled against the king, as it is written. Then tidings came to Joab, for Joab had followed after Adoniah, though he had not followed after Absalom. And Joab fled to the tent of the Lord and caught hold of the horns of the altar. 1 Kings 2:28. Joab followed Adoniah, thereby rebelling against Solomon, the lawful king. The Gemara asks, what does the verse mean to teach when it says that Joab did not follow Absalom? Rav Yehuda says it serves to teach that Joab wanted to follow Absalom, but in practice, he did not follow him. The Gemara asks, if he wanted to do so, what is the reason that Joab did not follow Absalom? Rabbi Elazar says, when Absalom rebelled against his father, David was still in full possession of his vitality, meaning that he was still strong and Joab feared him. Rabbi Yossi, son of Rabbi Hanina, says, David's stars, Itztagnine, Itztagnine, the planetary influences that determined his fortune still stood for him. As Rav Yehuda says that Rav says, David had 400 children in his army, and all of them were sons of beautiful women taken captive from their Gentile homes during the war. Deuteronomy 21, verses 10 through 14. And they grew their hair in a Gentile hairstyle, and they would go at the head of the troops, and they were the strong-arm enforcers of the house of David, on whose loyalty David's monarchy relied. As long as David was supported by this force, Joab was afraid to challenge him. The Gemara notes, and those who view Joab in a negative light disagree with the opinion of Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana. As Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana says, were it not for David, who studied Torah, Joab would not have been able to wage war successfully, and were it not for the military acumen of Joab, David would not have been able to study Torah. As it is written, and David executed judgment and justice to all his people, and Joab, son of Zeruiah, was over the army. 2 Samuel 8, verses 15 and 16. What is the reason that David executed judgment and justice to all his people? He was able to do so because Joab, son of Zeruiah, was over the army, assisting him in fighting his battles. And what is the reason that Joab, son of Zeruiah, was over the army? He was able to do so because David executed judgment and justice to all his people. The verse states, and Joab went out from David and sent messengers after Abner, and they brought him back from Bor-Sirah. 2 Samuel 3:26. The Gemara asks, what is the meaning of the name Bor-Sirah? Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana says, a well, so a bore, and a thorn, Visira, caused Abner to be killed. Abner became liable to be killed when he failed to take advantage of two opportunities to bring about a reconciliation between King David and King Saul, or King Saul at the time and David. First, when David cut off a corner of Saul's robe after he entered a cave in order to relieve himself, and second, when David found Saul sleeping and took the jug of water and the spear from next to his head. Rather than tell Saul that David could have killed him and refrained from doing so, Abner suggested to Saul that his robe may have been torn by a thorn bush and that his jug of water may have been taken by one of his own men. These two incidents are alluded to by the words bor, meaning well, and that is a jug of water, and sirah, a thorn bush. So the verse states, and Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly. 2 Samuel 3:27. Rabbi Yochanan says, Joab judged Abner according to the halacha of the Sanhedrin, which would sit in judgment by the gate of the city. How so? Joab said to Abner, what is the reason that you killed Asahel? Abner said to him, Asahel was pursuing me with the intention to kill me, and therefore he had the power of a pursuer, whom I had the right to kill in self-defense. Joab said to Abner, even so, you could have saved yourself by wounding one of his limbs. Abner replied, I was not able to do so, as I was running and could not aim with precision. Joab said to him, now seeing that you were able to aim and hit him precisely in the fifth rib, could you not have successfully aimed at one of his limbs? The Gemara asks, what is the meaning of to speak with him quietly? Basheli. Rav Yehuda says that Rav says he took him aside to speak to him by way of deception, shalu. As for what is stated, and Abner smote him with the butt end of the spear in the chomesh, 2 Samuel 2:23. Rabbi Yochanan says he hit him in the fifth, or the chamishit rib, the fifth rib, the place where the gallbladder and liver hang. Okay, jumping over to the next book. Nice pictures. All right. Now we hit the Gemara says, this is Parak Zion of the the Mishnah says in Parak Zion, four types of the death penalty were given over to the court, with which those who committed certain transgressions are executed. They are, in descending order of severity, stoning, so that's the most severe, burning. You'd think that burning would be really bad. Killing by decapitation and strangulation. So Rabbi Shimon says they are in descending order of severity: burning, stoning, strangulation, and killing. This execution described in the previous chapter is referring to the mitzvah of those who are stoned. That is the process of execution by stoning. Okay, kind of went over that. But the Gemara says now, Rava says that Rav Sahora, says that Rav Huna says, wherever the sages taught a halacha by means of a list, there is no significance to the order of their list, except for the Mishnah that discusses the 7 abrasive substances where their order is significant. I wish they gave a reference to that, but I don't know. I don't have it. So we learned in a Mishnah, Nidah 61b, one applies 7, okay, it gives it right there. One applies 7 abrasive substances to the stain found on a woman's clothing in order to find out whether the stain is from menstrual blood and therefore ritually impure, or whether it is another type of stain, thereby pure. These substances are bland spittle, which is the spittle of someone who has not yet tasted anything in the morning; moisture of grits, which is the spittle of one who has chewed the grits of beans; urine, natron, lye, or in Hebrew that's borit; chemolian earth, so chemolie, and potash. If the stain disappears as a result of the application of all of these substances, the stain is considered to have been from blood. If the stain disappears as a result of the application of all of these substances, the stain is considered to have been blood. And it is taught in the latter clause that the Mishnah, that the order of the substances is essential, as it states, if one applied them not in the order prescribed for them, or applied all 7 of them at once, he has done nothing. The laundering has not been effective. Rav Papa the Elder says in the name of Rav, the 4 types of the death penalty are also taught in order. This is apparent from the fact that Rabbi Shimon disagrees with the first order. Conclude from it that it is taught in an exact order. The Gemara adds, and the other sage, Rav Huna, does not include this Mishnah along with those in which the order is significant, as he is not speaking of Mishnayot where there is a dispute with regard to the correct order. Okay, it says, Rav Papa says, the order of the service of the temple on the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, is also taught in his proper order, as we learned in the Mishnah Yoma 60a. With regard to all actions performed in the context of the service of Yom Kippur, which are stated in the Mishnah as in the Torah in order, the halacha is, if the high priest performed one action before another, that is, if he diverged from the order that is written, it is as though he has done nothing. The other sage, Rav Hunas, does not include this Mishnah because that is merely a stringency. Although a change in the order invalidates the Yom Kippur service, this is not due to the importance of some rites relative to others, but because this order was established by the Torah. Rav Huna, son of Rav Yehoshua, says, the order of the daily offering described in the Mishnah at the end of Tractate Tamid 33b is also essential. It is taught with regard to it, this is the order of the daily offerings, indicating that it should be performed in exactly that order. The other sage, Rav Huna, does not include this Mishnah, as that requirement is merely for the mitzvah. In other words, it is preferable that the offering be sacrificed in that order, but it is not disqualified if one deviates from that order. Rav, let me double check on that because I want to be specific with you as to what that is. I think this is actually in here, so... Does that say, yeah, 33, tell me, oh no, that's not. I wonder if that is a typo. Because in Yoma 33a, it says, Abaye listed the order of the altar service based on the tradition according to Abba Shaul. But talks about... Zavachim. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, so I can't verify that. But anyway, okay, Rav Hunas, son of Rav Yehoshua, says the order of the daily offering described. Wait a second, that's daily offering. The temple. Oh, okay. I'm a little confused as to that reference because I think that it's supposed to be Yoma 33, but I'm not sure. But anyway, is taught with regard to it, this is the order of the daily offering, indicating that it should be performed in exactly that order. The other sage, Rav Huna, does not include this Mishnah, as that requirement is merely for the mitzvah. In other words, it is preferable that the offering be sacrificed in that order, but it is not disqualified if one deviates from that order. And Rav Huna's principle excludes the mitzvah, the ritual through which a man whose married brother dies childless, so Yavam. He frees his late brother's wife, Yavamah, of her livret bonds, chalitza, That is, it teaches that the order of that ceremony is not essential, as we learned in a Mishnah, Yevamot 106b. It says, the mitzvah of chalitza is performed in this manner. The Yavam and his Yavamah come before the court, and the judges of the court offer him advice that is appropriate as whether to enter levirate marriage or to perform chalitza, as it is stated, and the elders of his city shall call him and speak to him. Deuteronomy 25, verse 8. Okay, and if they decide to perform chalitza, she says, my brother-in-law refused to establish a name for his brother in Israel. He did not wish to consummate the levirate marriage. Deuteronomy 25, 7. And afterwards he says, I do not wish to take her. Deuteronomy 25, 8. And they would say these statements in the sacred tongue in Hebrew. The verse states, his Yavamah shall approach him before the elders and remove his shoe from on his foot and spit before him. So Deuteronomy 25, verse 9. Accordingly, she removes his shoe, and she spits before him a quantity of spittle that is visible to the judges. And she shall respond and say, so shall it be done to the man who does not build his brother's house. And his name shall be called in Israel, the house of he who had his shoe removed. Deuteronomy 25, verses 9 through 10. And Rav Yehuda says that this is the correct order for the mitzvah of chalitza. She recites the sentence beginning with my brother-in-law refused, and afterwards he recites, I do not wish to take her, so Deuteronomy 25, 8. And then she removes the shoe and spits and recites, so shall it be done to the man who does not build his brother's house, Deuteronomy 25, 9. So they go from verse 7, verse 8, verse 9. As we discussed it, what is Rav Yehuda teaching us? This is already stated in the Mishnah. The answer is that this is what Rav Yehuda teaches us. It is a mitzvah to perform chalitza like this, such as this is the proper order. But if one switched the order, we have no problem with it. The chalitza is still valid, as the order of the ritual is not essential. This is also taught in a Braita. Whether one performed the removal of the shoe before the spitting or the spitting before the removal of the shoe, what she did is done, and the chalitza is valid. So, and Rav Huna's principle also excludes that which we learned in a Mishnah. So Yoma 71b, the high priest serves, that is, performs the temple service, wearing 8 garments, and the ordinary priest performs the temple service wearing 4. The ordinary priest performs the temple service in a tunic, trousers, in a mitre, and in a belt. The high priest adds another 4 garments beyond those worn by the ordinary priest: a breastplate, ephod, a robe, and a front plate. I think they mean the zitz. Let's see. Yeah, the Hebrew says zitz. So the name of God on the little plate on his forehead. The order listed in this Mishnah indicates that the tunic was put on first. And it is taught in a Braita, from where it is derived, that nothing precedes the donning of the trousers. When the priest dresses, as it is stated, he shall wear a sacred tunic of linen, and trousers of linen shall he put on his flesh. This indicates that the trousers come first, as they are worn directly on the flesh, proving that the list in this Mishnah is not in accordance with the order with which the priest dressed. And to tell you the truth, that's actually probably one of the most modest ways to put yourself together too, is, get your pants on first, and then, other stuff. So the Gemara asks, but if so, what is the reason the Tana mentions the tunic first? So the Tana is, a sage from the Mishnah. The Gemara answers, because the verse mentions it first. The Gemara asks, and what is the reason the verse mentions it first? The Gemara answers, because it covers his entire body, and the Torah prefers to mention it first. So the Mishnah states that the types of the death penalty in descending order of severity: stoning, burning, killing by decapitation, and strangulation. The Gemara discusses the basis of this order. So stoning is considered more severe than burning, as stoning is meted out to one who blasphemes, that is, one who curses God, and to one who worships idols. For that reason is the severity of these transgressors considered greater than others, because the transgressor undermines the fundamental tenets of Judaism. The Gemara raises an objection. On the contrary, burning is more severe than stoning, as it is meted out to a priest's daughter who committed adultery, Leviticus 21, verse 9. So, and for what reason is the severity of this transgression considered greater than others? Because through her sin, she profanes not only herself, but her father as well. So this is the end of Daf 49. But this, this conversation continues. So see you tomorrow.